She's back.
A big thanks goes to Mega Cam, the man. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Super Smash Bros. Cinematic Universe Box Office Records, where this time we are following Warner Brothers and Legendary with a Minecraft movie. But before we start putting on our diamond armor, we actually have some news that has dropped. Okay, so we're doing this right now. The Legend of Zelda movie has just been announced to be releasing on March 26th of 2027. Now, I would have not originally had an issue with this, but that is like days after the freaking Sonic movie! Yeah, this one's gonna need a little bit of explaining. On the Nintendo Direct that dropped on March 27th of 2025, we had a chance encounter with Miyamoto, where he announced a new app called Nintendo Today. What we didn't know was that announcing this app was actually the precursor to another announcement the following day, where we would find out that the Legend of Zelda movie would be out March 26th of 2027. Lucky for us, that wasn't the only news they had, other than releasing mere days after Sonic the Hedgehog 4, of course. As an industry insider claimed that the Legend of Zelda film will be the first of a planned trilogy, with 3 movies planned out over 6 years starting in 2027. Additionally, according to Production List, a film and television production tracking service, the Legend of Zelda movie will begin shooting in November 2025 in New Zealand, where The Lord of the Rings was developed. Quite fitting, wouldn't you say? Additionally, from an update from Daniel Richtman, who's known for movie news and scoops, said that the casting for Link, Zelda, Ganon, and Impa had already been decided, with other roles expected to be finalized by August of this year. So that means realistically, we might get news on their casting this June for what was E3, alongside the casting for the Super Mario Bros. Movie 2. Yeah, things are getting crazy. Now, let's take a look at domestic. And I'm sorry to say, but Sonic the Hedgehog 3 left domestic theaters March 27th. It's been a good run. Thanks to Disney and Paramount, Sonic was not allowed to coexist with Jack Black Steve. Which is quite coincidental, because for the next 2 years, Smash Brothers characters are going to have to coexist. And so, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 ended its domestic run with $236,115,100. And this is because Paramount decided to hightail out of it after a month in theaters. They decided to put it in digital after a month versus Sonic 2, which had 2! But in the end, Sonic 3 still was out in theaters the longest. Go figure. Sonic 2 had 91 days in theaters. Sonic 3 had 98. So now let's see what Isekai Minecraft managed to dig up. And this is after breaking the ticket sales of a PG-rated film. Despite the fact that every family film is PG these days, even Snow White. And surprise to no one, Detective Pikachu has been KO'd out of domestic, with sadly no new Pokemon movies to come in its place. for the foreseeable future. Well, this sucks. Well, at least we can have Enderman and Zombie entering the fray, starting their run comfortably with $162,753,003. Not bad for mobs, not bad at all. That's short for mobile object or mobile entity, also known as non-player characters. The only difference is they tend to be hostile. You could say this for a piranha plant as well. Now let's see if there's any changes within International. The good news is we still have information coming from Sonic 3 overseas. And we have 254,575,755. The bad news is Sonic the Hedgehog overseas is going to be wiped out by Minecraft next week. Well, I can't say this wasn't inevitable. After all, this was the last film that was released in 2020 before the plague. Well, it's been a good run. We'll at least see you in the bottom 6. It's surreal to think that this lineup will be completely different in a few years. At least we'll have some good company. After all, we got Ryu and Ken and Mario and Luigi and Peach and Bowser coming back next year. It's pretty crazy. Who knows what other characters after Yoshi will be joining the cast next year? The sky's the freaking limit! And now, let's see what's going on in Worldwide. I will never stop loving this song! And at least here, Sonic Overseas and Worldwide still remains. And currently, Sonic 3 has 490,690,855. If by some miracle Sonic 3 gets to $50 million, I will be happy. But that is highly unlikely. Looks like we will have to deal with the Creeper paving the way for Minecraft Steve to enter the charts next week. And that's the Jack Black variety, of course. Speaking of which, here's how I felt about the movie overall. Being a Smash tuber, sometimes you have to put yourself through a bit of torture, apparently. A Minecraft movie is that torture. To put it simply, this is a lesson of how not to make a movie based on a Smash Brothers franchise. Because from the get-go, it fails at everything to do with making a movie. It fails at establishing character, it fails at establishing motivation, and it fails at sympathy. From the very beginning of the film, we start with a huge expository dump. Instead of digging to the core of what makes our main character, we are told what he is outright. Steve yearns for the mines, as they made him infamously say. And his only hurdle, a children not allowed sign. Talk about weak. Okay, Jared Hess, Mr. Director, why does Steve want to mine? I found a severe epidemic in the world of Hollywood. They seem to be particularly allergic to the idea of answering a simple question. Heaven forbid Steve start in Overworld, this wouldn't been an issue. Steve could have been his own race, and Steve could have had other Steves teaching him how to mine. It could have been a regular pastime. It could have been a rite of passage. No, they just want to go for the isekai route. They didn't want to give him any family ties, or any sort of psychological motivation, or even a spark to push him into the idea of mining. He just is. Then when they establish the MacGuffin, they call it a thingy. I'm sorry, that's not irreverent, that's childish. The entire beginning of the film is all an exposition dump. constant narrating. Do they expect all children to be idiots? To be dumber than a sack of hammers? Because our second protagonist is the Garbage Man, who uses zingers like, here's a hot garbage tip. How is that endearing? He is what trope makers call a butt monkey, as in the character who is the butt of the demeaning joke. He's incompetent, terrible at fighting, and terrible at being a gamer, even though he's an award-winning gamer. His choice of style doesn't help much. Hot pink, how very flattering. In this film, they do everything in their power to try to emasculate him. They don't even try to make him likable, he's just dumb. It reflects another terrible trend, removing the masculinity within the man, which I find very interesting. They decided to make the chiseled man not be Steve, but the round man be Steve. Does that make any sense to you? I frankly blame Jared Hess. His casting bias is what I think the culprit. Because, fun fact, this movie was originally directed by Sean Levy, the genius behind Free Guy, and now the famous Deadpool and Wolverine, which were frankly much better films overall. I don't know what Warner Brothers were thinking.
To be able to create a game world, a fictional world with no rules and where everything is possible, where literally the world can reshape visibly and physically around you, that was every director's dream.
Sean Levy knows how to make a good video game movie. They didn't allow him to do it. I don't get it. With him, we would have had real Minecraft Steve without a beard.
I am Steve.
Which is now standard. We have regressed. This film has a severe handling on the concept of a character. Speaking of which, we have another protagonist by the name of Henry, who happens to be our sole builder in the movie, which makes no sense. You're making a movie about a survival building game, and you only have one main big builder other than Jack Black Steve? In order to gain our sympathy, they gave him the lost parent trope. His mother died, and now his sister, Natalie, a la Lilo and Stitch, has to take care of him, being called outright a guardian instead of his sister, who has to work at a potato chip factory, but also loses her job because of her relative. Just like Lilo and Stitch as well. Her character is as undercooked as her tater tot pizza, which ironically gets more plot points than her in this entire movie. Her main job in the story is to be the straight man to the garbage man. Our last character is Dawn, who happens to be a real estate agent, who also runs a petting zoo. Gee, I wonder if she'll be important to the plot because she's good with animals. Really, that's her only redeeming quality in the entire movie. I hate to say it, but she's the token black character. And then this movie has the gall to have a side plot with a villager named Nitwit who happens to get together with Jennifer Coolidge's vice principal character. Oh no. All I can say is that Nitwit is actually voiced by a very prominent IT Crowd cast member. Then we have our main antagonist, Malgosia, the piglin ruler of the Nether. Her beef, or shall we say, pork, is that people laughed at her when she was dancing at Nether's Got Talent. I'm not kidding. So that's the reason they give for her wanting to wipe out all of creativity. That is a very strange and weak motivation. So we get her instead of the Ender Dragon. We do have Enderman. He's in the movie. And he would have been a better antagonist and a lot more interesting, but they chose the Piglin leader. Would you believe this movie had 6 writers, with 5 doing the screenplay and 3 doing the story? I'm honestly not sure what happened here. This film is a mess. It completely lacks focus, understanding of Minecraft, other than starting with wood as a beginning material and knowing what certain items are, but they don't actually have natural progression from wood to stone to iron to diamond. Yet they show an actual crafting table, but Henry doesn't even use one.
This place makes no sense.
Yeah, you got that right, Natalie. And no chutzpah to actually show characters that look like the ones from the game. I'm talking to you, Jack Black. It has no semblance of a story. It has no character arcs whatsoever. It has no stakes whatsoever. And the only redeeming quality about this film is that zombie is good, Enderman is good, it has Mark Mothersbaugh as the freaking composer who worked on the Lego movie. Why didn't they use that as a template? It was made by the Warner Brothers! Come on! And with how things are going, it's going to be a success. Because Snow White exists.
Didn't even make back half of what they spent on this movie. And you know it's just gonna get absolutely obliterated by the Minecraft movie in like a couple days. The funny thing is, I'm sure the Minecraft movie is and it's still gonna destroy Snow White. Like, dude.
And it absolutely freaking did. Because Snow White got $3.5 million for previews its first day. Whereas a Minecraft movie got $10.5 million for previews. On the first actual day, No White got 16,255,317 versus a Minecraft movie which got $58 million. Which, by the way, is more than what the Mario movie got on its first day. This is going to be a success, though it's still a polished turd. Thankfully, not a socialist one. So I give this hot garbage 2 stars out of 5. This is for a very small demographic. It is not for me. No. This is the movie that has non-creative people talk about saving creativity. It's a mess. Frankly, it's a mockery out of the blood, sweat, and tears that this franchise has been given throughout the years. It has enormous potential that even I am not aware of. Because, honestly, I don't play Minecraft. But many people do, including 2 children of mine. And they would be mad at the state of their own game that they love so much. Even though I have absolutely no attachment to this game, I can see how little they cared about giving this game its due. It's a travesty. Can you believe Weta worked on this hot garbage? The games themselves have cooked up much better stories than this. And frankly, I don't know how Notch was okay with this. Hey, Zaslav! How about the quality control? Do you care at all? Or do you care more about selling off the Looney Tunes? Dude, you make absolutely no sense to me as a CEO. You care more about the Discovery Channel than you do about the legacy of the Warner Brothers. Now that I have gotten that out of my system, you guys can see the next 3 episodes of Secret Level Episode 15, followed by upcoming films and shows. It is truly an honor to say that the first franchise is the work of Team Ico, a storied body of work that started in 1997. This video game development team, led by Fumito Ueda, has only made 3 games, but they have gained an increasing amount of attention and respect with each passing year. In the beginning, they were part of Sony Computer Entertainment. In fact, the beginnings of Ico were in February of 1997. When Fumito Ueda put in his application for Sony Computer Entertainment, he only had one goal: to make this game. He had no experience in 3D software or even making games, but his artistic vision and his overall quirkiness were so significant that he was given a chance. Being allowed to work 3 months on a pitch on Lightwave 3D to fully illustrate his vision. But in order to return back to him, we have to meet someone else. Now, remember Teiyu Goto, the creator of the PlayStation controller? Well, Sony management wanted him to create a flat controller. But Teiyu realized that having a D-pad wasn't going to cut it when it came to 3D worlds in gameplay. Considering this was the second iteration of the controller, it was joysticks or bust. Even the father of the CD, Norio Oga, aka the president of Sony, who once was a pilot, agreed, saying, and I quote, "The control stick is the most important part of any game." And so in 1995, the Dualshock analog controller, or the SCPH1200, was in development. Now you see, the Dualshock was meant as an answer to something else. The Nintendo 64's Rumble Pack, of course. They liked that this technology could provide vibration feedback based on game activity. But for the Dualshock, wanted to provide 2 joysticks instead of 1. So thankfully they forgoed removing the D-pad and put the 2 analog sticks between the grips. As for where they put their rumble, well, theirs are in the grips. The other difference? Well, the Rumble Pack only had 1 motor and used battery power, whereas the DualShock's 2 motors are actually powered by the PlayStation themselves. Smart move. This controller released on November 20th of 1997. But what was the first game developed for the DualShock, you ask? Well, that was developed by a studio made within Sony called Japan Studio, starting within Sony Computer Entertainment back in 1993, with their first production based off a science fiction manga called Jo Hikari Seki Starcrackers by Kokomai, aka Masato Kanemono, a manga artist from Ota Ward, Tokyo, of which the manga translates to Super Light Sentry Starcrackers, a manga that had its start on Monthly Shonen Captain, a manga magazine that ran from 1985 to 1997. This also happened to be the debut game for Mediavision, a video game company that was founded in March 1st of 1993, created by former members of Riot, a subsidiary of Telenet Japan, with the latter being an important company for Smash. The game they made, however, never came to the United States. It was Japan only, and it was called Crime Crackers. In the game, it is set after an intergalactic war. You play as bounty hunters aboard the spacecraft Pink Dolphin as they take on the jobs requested by the Galactic Federation Police. The game is a first-person shooter with light RPG elements that is structured like a dungeon crawler. The production for this game was helmed by Mediavision co-founder Takashi Fukushima, who established his company upon learning about Sony's intent to release its debut console the following year. Production started promptly right after Golden Week of 1994, getting Japan Studios' first game done in just 7 months, thanks to already established characters and settings. And thus we have here one of the debut games for the PlayStation. So how about that? We actually have some news for today. the Zelda release date just dropped, where I can finally start with Street Fighter coming out in March 20th of 2026 by Sony and Legendary. Then we have the Super Mario Bros. Movie 2 on April 3rd of 2026 by Universal Illumination, coming out in just a few weeks after the other. Then we have Sonic the Hedgehog 4 coming out on March 19th of 2027 by Paramount and Skydance, followed by a few days with Legend of Zelda movie on March 26th of 2027 by Sony and Nintendo. We will badly need to arrange a Barbenheimer situation in 2027. ASAP! Now I'm going to give Secret Level Season 2 for this month at least one more week before I change it to with no release date. But that would pain me to do so. Otherwise, we have the typical situation of having these films with no release date, such as Metal Gear Solid by Sony, Detective Pikachu 2 by Warner Brothers, Mega Man by Netflix, and Pac-Man by Fox. We have no information about either. Neither do we have information about the live-action Pokemon show featuring Red on Netflix, or the Minecraft animated series by Netflix. Here's hoping that after the success of a Minecraft movie, we will get information on one of them. And here's hoping that the Minecraft show has actual Steve. And we are done. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe, and smash that bell in order to get notifications on a channel where everything grows on you.